have our mafioso Sharath Devaneni, who's the founder of Solarify, a solar energy company out of Bangalore. And his workshop is going to be on accessing sustainable energy. So we keep talking about how do we make sustainability the default choice. Sharath's going to show you how you can make solar systems your default choice. So I'll ask Sharath to now take over for the next half an hour and run us all through how we can go solar in our own homes or even possibly offices.
Thank you, Anirudh.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharath, and I'm going to be conducting this interactive session on accessing sustainable energy. This is for 30 minutes. We are going to learn simple things about how clean energy is accessible to the common person like you and me. We're going to try to make this as interactive as possible, and we're going to have fun in the process. We'll try to, at least. We all have already heard from the previous speakers about how centralized power is where most of our energy comes from today. And where does most of our energy come from today? Unfortunately, it comes from our forests. The forests of central India is a major source of coal today, and a major source of our electricity is from coal. What does this do for us? It destroys our green cover, our flora and fauna, it pollutes our rivers and air, it displaces our local communities as well. And local people, local villages, local tribals are displaced because of this. This coal is then transported hundreds of kilometers to coal factories where electricity is produced, and then this is again transmitted hundreds of kilometers to our cities and homes, which we utilize day to day in our homes, in our businesses, in the transportation sector. I would like to take a quick simple poll that will appear on your screen right now, just to highlight what and how much of our electricity and where it comes from and how much losses are happening in the current scenario. Okay, thank you. You can see two questions on your screen. Just take 30 seconds to answer these two questions. Wow, that's a lot of responses.
Sharath, can you read aloud the questions as well while this is happening?
Yes, the first question is, what percentage of electricity generated in India is from dirty sources like coal and gas? We know it's major, but I would like to hear from you what you think as a percentage. And the second question is, what percentage of electricity generated in India is lost during a transmission and distribution from the sources where it's produced to where it is being consumed, like in our cities and homes? I see around 60 to 70 responses.
Shall I end the poll?
Yes, I think you can end the poll, yes. Okay. You can see the results. Most of you have said for the first question, 75%. So the actual answer is it's 60%. 60% of electricity generated is actually from coal and gas. Just to give you the context for the rest of it, around 20% is from renewable sources like wind and energy. And the rest, 15 to 20% comes from hydro, and a very small percentage comes from nuclear and thermal. So the second question is on the transmission losses, which is a huge problem that all of us are facing today. Most of you have answered 20%, and that is actually the correct answer. So 20%, so every 4 units generated, 1 unit is lost just during transmission and generation, and we're not even talking about theft and other issues that are facing this thing. Thank you very much. So how are we solving the problem? We are actually solving this problem by using a top-down approach. That's what's happening in our country today. We are going for centralized power sources like solar. As you can see, we can see solar plants being built. We are seeing hundreds of megawatts of solar plants being installed. We are also seeing a lot of wind being installed in our country in the last 10 to 15 years. We also see a lot of hydro. While all of this is great, the second problem, which is solving the first problem, which is that it's actually from renewable sources. But the second part of the problem is transmission and distribution losses is still not being solved, because where it's being generated and where it's being consumed are still hundreds of kilometers apart. So to solve the second part of the problem, we are now looking at something, but because all of these are centralized, now we are looking at something called decentralized, and that's the way forward for us. Imagine a scenario where you have clean sources of power on your rooftop, it's installed on your rooftop, you generate it on your rooftop, and you consume it right there. You're solving both the major problems in energy today. Right, so we have already transitioned to a lot of solar, wind, and hydro, but decentralized is the next step. So this is a bottom-up approach. Unlike the top-down approach, this is a bottom-up approach. We are taking matters into our own hands. Today, rooftops have the space to install your own clean source of energy. This actually reduces a lot of our climate problems. Although wind and biomass are also clean sources of energy, but what is feasible today, like what our previous speakers have said, rooftop solar is actually very feasible economically and technically for individual homes and communities. Famously, one of our other speakers has talked about the 5 Ds of energy, which I borrowed from him because that's something I learned from him. We already talked about decentralization, but what this approach also does for us is also decarbonizes our energy from coal to renewable sources. It democratizes the way we are consuming and generating power because we are taking matters into our own hands. Of course, it's digitized. The last 2 parts are something that's still in work in progress, but we believe all the 5 Ds can happen, and that's the takeaway for us from this part of the presentation. I'll talk about the energy pyramid. Again, something that I learned probably some years back by somebody very senior in the energy space. As a renewable energy professional, I was only focusing on the top of the pyramid, setting up solar power plants. But then we realized there's something more important and fundamental that we're forgetting, which is energy efficiency and energy conservation. Because just adopting renewable energy is not enough. We need to also keep the other 2 things in mind. So just taking an example of AC, all of us have air conditioners, have used it either in our homes or in our offices. Right now, what does energy conservation mean from the perspective of an air conditioner? It means essentially behavioral change. Knowing when to use the AC, for how long are you using the AC, and at what optimum temperature makes a difference in how much energy is being consumed by the air conditioner. So that is energy conservation, and that's where we need to start looking at energy. The second part is energy efficiency. When you're buying an AC, you need to look at what, like the 5-star or a 4-star AC, the rating or the energy consumption of that particular AC, is it efficient or not efficient? And once you're done with the first and the second step, is then when you look at renewable energy to nullify what you're already consuming as electricity for that particular AC. So I'm just taking the example of an AC to explain the simple energy pyramid, which I myself have learned and now implement. So like I said, even though there is wind and biomass accessible form of energy for you to install on our own rooftops. So there is one element that all of us know today. We have all looked at it. We have all seen it, but we really have not paid too much attention. That is your electricity bill. If you look at it, this is a sample of electricity bill from the city of Delhi. I'm sure a lot of you from Delhi will recognize this format. And then you can see a format of a bill from Bangalore. I've taken these 2 cities as an example. All of us have seen this, but most of us don't understand this. This is know about this, but we don't know much how to read it. You can see that 2 numbers are being highlighted here. This number is basically the consumption of the number of units per month for your consumption for either a home or it could be a business. I would like to now do a small, simple exercise. Today is a Sunday, and I'm sure most of you are at home. We will do a quick exercise. I'll give you a minute. Can you all go quickly grab your electricity bill and come back so that we can do a simple exercise to calculate what your requirement of solar will be for your consumption. So you can take a minute and come back, or 30 seconds, or if you know the numbers yourself already, that's great.
By the way, Sharath has shown a BSC bill for Delhi and the electricity
Bescom bill from Bangalore. Correct.
Assuming that a large segment of our audience today was Bangalore or Delhi, but if you can find the equivalent of yours, that'll be great too.
So there are multiple blogs available online on how to read your electricity bill and demystify this thing called the electricity bill. Things are a little slightly better, but I remember growing up, none of this was even printed correctly. I'm talking about Bangalore, and it wasn't even printed for us to even understand this. Today it's slightly better, but still understanding it is the first step to take to solar, for example. Now it's been 30 seconds. I'll just wait for another 10 seconds and we can go to the next slide. It's basically a simple do-it-yourself solar calculator. Within 3 steps, I promise you know what your electricity requirement is. Sorry, your solar requirement is. Okay, we'll start now. I'm assuming that a few of you have your electricity bills in your hands or know the numbers. Like I said in the previous thing, you can look at these 2 numbers. For example, in Delhi, the current consumption is 10 units. It's marked there. And for the Bangalore bill, so that's also marked there. So that's the number you should find on your electricity bill and do these calculations. So find the first step, and also before you start, also the first person, if you're able to calculate this and put it in the chat window, our Mafia members are promised a very good and interesting gift as well. So we can take a couple of minutes, 30 seconds, and do the monthly consumption in terms of units. Take that number, divide it by 4. The result, divide that by 30. Okay, and then the number that you get is your solar plant capacity, an approximate number. It is as simple as this. Once you have your solar plant capacity required, you can also understand what is the space required, because space is also a very important aspect for this. So multiplied by 100 is the solar plant capacity, multiplied by 100 is the space required, and the solar plant capacity multiplied by 1000 is approximately what you save per month by going for on-grid solar. This could vary based on your city, but this is a decent approximation and a great first step for you to start. So the first person, if you're able to just whoever is putting the results, we will have a look at it later, and then we'll come back to you with an interesting gift. I hope you were able to get your solar plant capacity that you can install on your rooftop within 30 seconds. It's just as simple as this. Okay. On the same point, if you look at solar rooftop installations, because I took the 2 examples of Bangalore and Delhi, I would also like to show you how many of them have already done what we are talking about. So in Bangalore, in the last 3 years, almost 2,000 installations have already happened on the rooftop sector, and 70% of that is in the residential space. In terms of number of this is in terms of number of installations, not the capacity installed. Delhi has done slightly better, 2,700 installations, and around 55% of that is in the residential sector. So a scenario of distributed rooftop potential. So we all know of villa communities, we all know of neighborhoods with large rooftops, untapped potential, untapped real estate where all of these sources of clean energy can be installed. It would be great if these villa communities can actually install these solar power plants on their own roof. They become a prosumer. That's a very common word that we use because you produce and you consume at the same point. You can see an example of a drone photo of a project. This is a community. So some of you might be thinking, I don't live in an independent home. What do I do? And how can I install a solar power plant and generate clean power? So even if you live in flats, if you live in a community, if you live in an apartment, you can still do solar power. If not for individual flats, you can do it for a common area. So this is actually a live project in Bangalore, installed 2 years back. 100% of this apartment common area is on solar, and they also won some awards for doing this in 2018. Okay, I'll talk about Ria. Ria is actually she's actually a working professional based in Bangalore. She wanted to build her sustainable home around a year and a half back. And she was convinced that I want to make sure that I have rainwater harvesting in my house. I want to use the best building materials to build my house. I want to make sure that I have clean energy, which is running my house. She was convinced about this idea, but she did not know how to go about it. So Ria was working at Dell. She was married and she was with 2 kids, but she wanted a dream home to be perfect and as sustainable as she can. But how did she go about it? It's actually a very simple thing. One day she was at office. All she did was she went online and she did a simple search, and you can just see how in simple few steps she was able to identify and talk to people and get to what our requirement is. You can place inquiries on forms. You can even chat with people online. In a few simple steps, you can get to your requirement. Okay, so that was the one step. And also there are multiple online calculators available. You can do it yourself. You can, even without talking to anybody, you can do the simple calculations yourself. Here's a short example of how simple it is to do your calculations. Great. So as you can see, 3 simple steps. She went online, she found some companies that were reliable, which has some good ratings. She spoke to them. She can go on a contact form or chat with them or do her own online calculation. And then within a month, she actually installed a 4-kilowatt solar plant on her house. It took her over the process. She decided to do it. The solar started working at her home. What has happened today? It's been more than a year since she has installed this, and because we have more than a year's data, I would like to show you what was the impact of solar on her bills, electricity bills. So you should know that solar is not just for the purpose of climate, but it also makes economic sense. And if you have a little bit of space on your rooftop, it also makes technical sense to put up a solar and generate and be a prosumer. If you look at the 12 months here, the graph changes up and down is based on season. You can see the summer months generates more power. During the rainy season, it comes down. And again, in the winter season, it goes up again because the sunlight is still good. And this is basically in terms of rupees, what she's saved. Or if we do a yearly calculation, monthly, she's been able to save 5,200 rupees. Compare that with a neighbor who has a similar house, and the neighbor is also paying a bill of around 4,500 rupees with no solar, but they're paying a bill of 4,500 rupees to the government, whereas she's paying zero electricity bill. She's actually saving around 5,200 on average per month. If you look at it purely from an investment perspective, you're looking at about 15% yearly returns on your investment. And if you extend the savings that she's having for the next 25 years, we are looking at the savings of 16 lakhs. So it's not just for the sake of environment. It is also because it makes economic sense for you to do this. So those why she did what she did. And the third and other important reason is she's today a proud owner of a solar power plant, and in her neighborhood she's one of the first ones to go for it, and she's really proud about it. So that is the third reason. Okay, so what are the key takeaways? I'm at the end of my session. What are the 3 takeaways that we talked about? The 5 Ds. Decentralization is the main thing, but the 5 Ds are the things that we talked about. We talked about the energy pyramid and how just having a solar is not enough, but also talking about energy conservation and energy efficiency is important, which is the bottom-up approach, and why rooftop solar is the most economical, reliable, and cleanest form of energy today available for you. And the fourth, how simple it is to do your own calculation and get your own quotations and get a solar installed on your rooftop. And the fifth one is communities around you are already switching to solar. There are multiple examples. There are thousands of installations in your cities, whether you're from Bangalore, Delhi, or Mumbai, or Chennai, or Hyderabad, or other towns. There are multiple examples of people already doing this. So those are the key takeaways from this Accessing Sustainable Energy workshop. I hope you have learned something, had simple takeaways from this. Thank you very much.